This is the Ohio AgNet from the voice you know at the News You Trust studio, sponsored by BASF and Veltima Fungicide, the proven #1 for the toughest corn diseases with long-lasting residual. When you need to be confident your fungicide will perform. I'm Ty Higgins. Check out the 26th Annual Crawford Antique Farm Machinery Show, June 18th through the 20th at the Crawford County Fairgrounds in Bucyrus. Visit the Crawford Antique Farm Machinery Association on Facebook to learn more. Taking consumer outreach to new levels, keys to selling land, and what the wonky spring planting season means for the rest of the growing season. This morning's news feed is delivered by Ebert's Field Seeds, proven local seed performance for Ohio farmers. It's time to start planting Ebert's. Call 937-473-2521 or visit online at ebertsseeds.com. Ohio agriculture going to be taking center stage at this year's Ohio State Fair with the new Imagine Ag exhibit. Ohio Farm Bureau's Marlene Ike talks about the vision behind the new building in the latest Ohio AgNet podcast.
Probably many listeners remember the Land and Living exhibit that was in the Ag and Hort building for many years that our staff and our team and many other partners got to come together on to kind of bring to life. And as we all know, with all these amazing renovations and new things and new opportunities out at the Ohio State Fair and at the Ohio Expo grounds, with the new Ohio Ag Center, we had the opportunity to really reimagine, pun totally intended, reimagine what that ag literacy footprint and that feature and what all of that looked like. And so it's been really exciting for our team here at Farm Bureau to get to lead the charge with a lot of industry partners to bring to life this amazing exhibit. It's a 75,000 square foot exhibit that we are bringing to life at this year's State Fair.
Quite literally a blank slate to work with. So can you walk us through the vision behind creating this new space and what Ohio Farm Bureau and your partners hope to accomplish with it?
Yeah, well, like you said, it was a blank slate. And so we began, last year at really brainstorming what would we want this to be and how could we tell this story. And so Ohio Farm Bureau's charge throughout this whole process has been to tell the story of Ohio agriculture on behalf of all of Ohio agriculture. So we brought together those industry groups and our commodity partners to kind of really understand what were the important parts of all of our story that we wanted to tell the fairgoer. And then we really dreamed very big and also accepted some proposals from some exhibit companies that would help us do this because we knew, okay, if we're going to do this differently than we ever have before, remember 75,000 square feet is the exhibit, then we were probably going to need some really good exhibit partners as well. So we've had some great partners in Shiftology and Exhibit Concepts Inc. out of Vandalia, and they're really helping us do that. So when fairgoers come in to the big kind of hall in the Ohio Ag Center and they enter the Imagine Ag exhibit, I think a wow factor is going to be something that they experience because it's going to feel really cool. And we wanted to really inspire the fairgoers. We wanted to help them learn some things about Ohio agriculture, but they were learning those things while they were having fun. So they maybe didn't even realize they were learning things, right? I like to call it education wrapped in entertainment. So as you walk in, we've tried to accomplish that goal by putting together 7 really key kind of big anchors in the space that have different experiences throughout. And so it's an immersive experience and you'll kind of be going through the whole space and experience these things in 7 different key areas.
Plus, selling land is much different than selling a traditional home. Kevin Miller is with Oak Ridge Realty and Auction Company. He shares how landowners can make their property a little more enticing.
One of the nice things is typically we don't get this, but yield maps are very important. A lot of times people are private and they don't want to give those up, but yield history, tile maps, all those kind of things help make that property more attractive to buyers. It's like saying, hey, here's what we've got. Obviously, we can provide all the soil data and things of that nature, but people want to know what's that farm really producing, especially with today's prices. You know, we're seeing record prices, and it seems like that's here to stay. And so productivity and long-term growth, where's that farm located at, and what's the growth look like in that area?
Listen to more of my conversation with Kevin Miller of Oak Ridge Realty and Auction Company and Ohio Farm Bureau's Marlene Ike on the new Ohio AgNet podcast at ohioagnet.com. Let's get a check of the forecast now with Ryan Martin, brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com.
Sunshine, blue sky for today, and I think we get that for a large part of tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon, we are seeing some scattered showers and an area of low pressure form in Wisconsin, dragging through Michigan and northern Indiana, but I don't think moisture shows up in northwest Ohio until closer to midnight, or at least after sunset Tuesday night. As we move into Wednesday, that's where we see scattered showers across the state. Nothing dramatic to start, but a second surge of moisture late Wednesday into Thursday. That's the one that could have some ripping rounds of thunderstorms for us. So combined, both waves here, I think 0.5 to 1.5 inches, coverage 100% of the Buckeye State. Watching to see whether a tropical system can move through the deep south to finish the week. If it does, we're probably completely dry here. If it doesn't, likely looking at some moisture trying to pop up later Sunday. And then Monday of next week, good rains as well. I'm Ryan Martin.
Ryan, thank you. As farmers know, this spring has been a challenge, starting from the end of March all the way until today. What does the wonky spring planting season mean for the rest of the growing season? Adam Conrad is with Local Connection Ag.
Yeah, I think that's a thing that's on most of the areas in Ohio's mind right now is we're going to have stuff that we planted in maybe late March or early April, corn, for example, and then corn that we've planted here in the first part of June. So spreading out that spray window, everybody's going to be spraying at different times all summer long. And then a harvest, obviously, we could have some really wet corn, we could have some really dry corn. There's going to be a mixture, and guys, I feel like, are going to be flopping fields a lot, trying to figure out where they can go and where they can't go. And it's going to be a challenge, but I think that most guys are set up for it and understand, and the earlier planting that we've done over the past few years, I think, has played into that, and guys understand that that's a risk they're taking, and I think they'll work through it.
That's Adam Conrad with Local Connection Ag. We'll talk increased fertilizer prices and the harm that's causing American farmers next in today's featured audio on the Ohio AgNet.
The Ohio Soybean Council is investing in research and innovation to help Ohio soybean farmers get more from every acre. Your checkoff supports research focused on improving yields, reducing costs, and finding solutions to pests and diseases. Through Arable Research Lab, your checkoff is helping bring new soy-based products to market because innovation on and off the farm helps create more opportunities for your soybeans. Visit soyohio.org to see how your Ohio soybean checkoff is driving innovation.
Bottom and 31 sold them 30,000.
Get ready to bid on the heavy equipment and vehicles you need in a Ritchie Brothers Midwest Regional Auction happening June 25th. Inventory is housed at Minneapolis, Kansas City, Chicago, Columbus, Detroit, and Lincoln locations. Choose from a wide selection of construction and transportation equipment. Don't miss this opportunity. Visit rbauction.com/Chicago to sign up. Again, that's rbauction.com/Chicago.
Important talks have been happening at high levels of the government about fertilizer prices and the impact on American farmers. With today's featured audio, here's Dusty Sonnenberg.
Joining me today is John Settlemyer. John, a farmer from down in Clinton County, also a member of the Ohio Corn and Wheat Growers Association, who recently traveled down to Texas to meet with a group of farmers and the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, discussing concerns about the increase in fertilizer prices the last several years and the harm that's doing to the American farmer. John, how'd this meeting come about?
There's been a group of us talking about this stuff for a couple years now on how our input costs have just continued to go up while the grain that we're producing, the prices are not even as good as they were, 2 years ago. So that imbalance is a problem, and we thought that we needed to take some action. Fertilizer prices in 2020, phosphate was $390 a ton. And last fall, they were quoting us $900. Meanwhile, corn prices, it took about 140 bushels of corn to buy a ton of phosphate in 2020. I call that a parity index. Compare that to last fall, where $900 fertilizer on corn was $370 a bushel around here last fall. So it's over 240 bushels.
Yeah.
We can't stand that. If you're farming on a cash flow basis, your banker's not going to be very happy with you. You might know more about that than I do, but if you're an equity-based farmer and you've got real estate that you've owned for generations or whatever, you're chewing into your equity with these negative cash flows, but you're able to weather these storms. But this has just continued to increase for the last 5 years. We got to make some changes.
So, John, who organized this program or this trip?
started out with the folks in Ohio and the corn growers, and then I've branched out. I've been in corn growers about 8 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Starting to then start visiting with fellow growers from different states. Iowa guys for sure, Texas growers, Illinois, Missouri, Georgia, South Dakota, Colorado. Everybody's feeling the same pinch. Everybody's asking the same questions, and quite frankly, everybody's got similar stories. Who are the main suppliers? And they quote you a price, and then that there may be some changes in the market, and then that price is no longer good, and they can't get a price for you. Prices continue to go up and up and up. There's never a reset or a drop back down to reality values. So, after a while, growers just get tired of this thing, and it's time to start taking some action. And that's what we've been working toward. We've asked a lot of questions, and we've consulted with some legal folks to get some direction on what to be looking for and some of the problems that we see. We run out of product. I'm in Southwest Ohio. We've got 2 terminals on the Ohio River, and one of my co-ops is my main supplier just north of South Charleston area. And when they all run out of phosphate fertilizer in the same week, you start asking questions. How is this being managed, or who's in control of this? And that's some of the things that raise your eyebrows, I should say. If anybody has information they'd like to share, and I'm including your dealers that might listen to this, they don't want to talk in front of big groups confidentially, there's a website or an email address. I think it's fertilizercomplaints@ftc.gov. And again, that's fertilizercomplaints@ftc.gov. Write out your situation or your observations, the problems that you see that might not be legal, and put those out there. If you don't want to write anything down, get a hold of me. I think through Ohio Corn and Wheat Growers, they've got my cell phone number, or I've got an email address. I'd like to hear your story. We're trying to make some changes out here.
Again, my guest today is John Settlemyer. To hear the full interview, check out the featured audio at ohioagnet.com.
Thank you, Dusty. Market analysis and the latest numbers next here on the Ohio AgNet.
Ohio farmers, we know summer means long days in the field and plenty of work still to do. And the Ohio AgNet wants to bring lunch to your farm. The Feeding Farmers contest is back this summer, and we'll be choosing farms across Ohio for a visit from the Ohio AgNet, along with free lunch for your farm, family, and crew. Get entered today at ohioagnet.com/feedingfarmers. Feeding Farmers is brought to you by Ag Revolution, Paradise Energy Solutions, Tempty, and the Ohio AgNet.
The way farmers get their information is expanding, and now there's a new dimension of farm news for the Buckeye State. Ohio AgNet TV. Learn from other farmers, see products and practices in action, and stay connected to what is happening both locally and nationally. Plus, watch expanded video coverage throughout the growing season and beyond, with regular updates from the field and stories that highlight the people, issues, and innovations driving Ohio agriculture. Don't miss a moment. Subscribe now on YouTube by searching Ohio AgNet TV, where Ohio agriculture comes to life.
Welcome back to the Ohio AgNet. I'm Ty Higgins, and this morning's market analysis is brought to you by Louis Dreyfus Company. Excited to bring a brand new soybean crush facility to Upper Sandusky. Learn more about marketing your soybeans with LDC at 574-566-2113. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets bounced a little bit on Friday. Whether they can hold this week, that's going to be the million-dollar question. But on Friday, here's what we had. Most of the market was expecting a U.S.-Iran peace deal to be signed here over the weekend. However, weather is probably a bigger story, and a little bit of bottoming seemed to have been trying to happen through last week. For example, July corn futures fell to a 408.5 low on Friday morning. There was an open chart gap on the weekly futures chart that was right around there. Now, they did not fill the gap, so technically the objective is not completed yet, but this is a sign of bottoming. Seeing the same kind of story in wheat. We went and retested the Chicago wheat low on Friday, and so maybe the market's trying to bottom here as well. That's going to be the talking point for a large part of this week, whether these markets are going to try and stabilize and turn. I'm Ryan Martin.
Ryan, thank you much. Overnight markets on the Ohio AgNet brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. July corn down 2 3/4 at $4.10 a bushel. December 4.37 3/4 down 2 1/2. July beans a penny and a quarter better at 11.14 3/4. New crop November 11.34 up 2 cents, and July wheat down 4 points at 5.80 1/2. More of today's farm news, markets, and weather at ohioagnet.com. I'm Ty Higgins. We'll see you down the road.